Well. Wait, it's Miss Rosie. Oh, Miss Rosie has joined for a little stream. Moi, moi, moi. Welcome back. She's actually grabbing the phone. Nice one. Good dog. Very good dog. Anyways, time for doggy to go back to mommy. There you go. Be free, little one. Be free. Go get her. Hold on. Dog's on the loose right now. We have a dog on the loose. Putting her to work today. Anyways, we still got... We actually have a lot of things to talk about today, seeing that it is a literal new year now. I mean, this is kind of like the first real trading day of the new year. Still don't think things actually matter all that much in the short term right now, just because, a lot of the... Sorry, I was just like literally running around my fucking house getting prepared for the stream. But I do want to say that's probably still waiting around until next Monday for things to actually occur here. But the setups are there, and I do think that the setups still suggest that Bitcoin is going to very likely bounce out of this region first. And then if there is going to be any sort of major downside, that's probably going to happen a little bit later. I don't know, maybe later in January, maybe in February, but later. Later.tm is the name of the game. Anyways, I see a lot of familiar faces in here. What's up, Mr. Caretaker? Good to see you, my man. Good to see you as always. Joe Marty, Sing Capital, Andreas, Rect Degen. Very many such cases in this regard. Joe Marty, Mr. Monopoly, Biff the Bull. I know this one. Who else we got? Joe Johnson, Prescott Johnson. Who's your first name? What's your first name? T-Matt, Warcraft. Oh man, I fucking love Warcraft. Warcraft. I'm actually in the process of getting another computer set up right now just so I can play fucking video games. Because it's been so long, man. I saw a comment earlier, someone who was asking, where was it? Yeah, EddieMan666 says, hey, buddy, maybe you'll read this. Yes, indeed I am, sir. I miss gaming streams on Twitch. The last one I watched was from Doom. There was a great atmosphere and loose topics. Yeah, man, I'm really looking to bring this back. I'm just trying to find the best setup for myself because, I want it to be super, super easy for me to, just sit down and stream. And right now, my main sort of work computer is upstairs. So it's just a little bit out of the way when I want to game, which is typically later in the day, and I'm downstairs. So I'm getting in the process of setting up something downstairs, and perhaps we can bring back the gaming streams because I really enjoyed those as well. I've also just been super busy setting up this new place. I know we've already been here for like more than a month, but God, man, it really is a monumental task to set up a new house. I was so in over my head. I feel a little bit more in control now, but wow, man, moving into your first house after living in apartments your whole damn life is it's a trip. It's a trip, and it's a lot of learning, and it's a lot of work. Everyone wants to fucking own a house, but no one wants to do the damn work, or at least I don't want to do it. So anyways, like I said, there will be many things to be speaking about today, particular to the short term, that do suggest Bitcoin, still likely to bounce here, but it shall be decided later on what actually, happens here. I'm still kind of looking at these LARP lines as more or less directionally correct. I don't know, maybe we get this high, maybe we don't. Somewhere around there, though, is fair game. Cute little dog on loose. Yeah, man, she is a cute little dog. We actually brought her around town yesterday, just, doing the daily errands with her, and every fucking person stopped her just to be, oh, so cute dog. Can I pet? Yes, you can. You can pet. She does bite a little bit, but she's just teething. She's very young. She's only 13 weeks, or actually going on 14 weeks now, getting quite close to that. Anyways, Anyways, I had a really funny conversation with Elsa earlier today, just because, I've been getting into guns recently. Just buying new guns and testing them out, just having fun with it. So I feel like that's going to be the next sort of obsession that I'll have, probably, at least as a collector. And Elsa just chimes in. She's like, I want to carry a gun too. I'm like, oh, cool. All right. Do you want to carry appendix? Do you want to have like a little sling body bag? Like, what do you want to? She's like, no, I want to carry it on the outside. I'm like, you can do that. I don't know if I'd suggest that though, but it has to be pink. I'm sure that there's a pink Glock there somewhere in the world. I mean, fuck, if anything's going to be pink, it's going to be Glock, right? Anyways, Sequoia says, sup, brother? Things are whipping around all over the place this morning. Where we headed, homie? Again, I do think Bitcoin's just more likely to bounce here. I really do. The question is, how high does it bounce? With everything going on. I mean, I do want to take a quick look at traditional markets. Like I said, I kind of rushed to get ready for today's stream. I do see that SPY futures are actually having a slightly down open today, which is kind of a surprise. Oh, okay. There was a morning rally. All right. There was a morning rally, then sold off from that. Okay. That makes sense. Does this want to trade a little bit lower? Yeah, I believe that's what we said last time we looked at it as well. I'm not bearish on it though. Again, I'm bullish on this thing as long as you're above the Wednesday, the 17th of December low, but I do think that that we can pull back decently here, maybe 68.30, 68.20-ish region. And that is still objectively a higher low. Again, higher term timeframes for me at least are bullish. I think that we could easily have a reconnect here with the red 5 EMA on the monthly time frame. It's going to be a big staple of this, of this particular presentation, just because, we do have a lot of new higher term timeframes opening up. But again, just coming back down to reconnect with that, whether it be like low 68, maybe high 67, these are all still higher lows and still does accommodate higher price. I don't know, sometime this quarter, most likely. Looking at the quarterly, for example, as well. Again, overall good, overall bullish. I just think that we're going to pop back down and have a bit of a reconnect right there, and then very likely a higher low with new highs to follow. That might take some time to play out, obviously, but all higher term timeframes here are still more or less bullish in the way that I look at them. Yes, I do acknowledge that this is a very crazy chart. Yes, it is starting to get pretty extended here, obviously, but generally, during the end of these parabolic blow off tops is where the craziest shit does happen. So I think we're starting to enter into that with traditional markets. And so maybe this next year is going to be like the most, I guess, impressive year, if you will. Sorry, my stream just, or my YouTube page just reloaded on their own. So let me just bring it back right there. But yeah. But yeah, still conducive to higher prices, and I do think that we're kind of entering into what do I like to call it? I like to call it the twilight zone. The most fun part of the market cycle, but of course the part of the market cycle that you really got to pay attention to, because when a reversal does happen, it happens fast, swiftly, and without any fucking prisoners. So don't think we're there just yet. I do still think that prices go higher, but in the short term, traditional markets looks like they want to correct to the downside first, while Bitcoin actually looks like it wants to bounce, in the short term. So interesting to see that these things are not playing hand in hand, but I guess that's kind of been par for the course recently anyways, because Bitcoin has been down and traditional market's been up. So maybe it's a bit of an, opposite relationship, or maybe there's no relationship at all perhaps anymore. Maybe all of that is just a bunch of bullshit to be focusing on that distracts you from the chart in front of your face, which is most important as always. So yeah, anyways, going through traditional markets a little bit more, I should say commodities a little bit more. I want to see what gold's doing here. Gold, I think, is going to open up this year on a pretty major pullback as well. I don't necessarily think that the all-time highs are in just yet, but we do have bearish divergence here on the weekly time frame. That will confirmed at the end of today in 5 hours, 42 minutes, and 18 seconds and counting, with any sort of a closure basically here or lower. Anything below 43.39 is going to be, in my opinion, a confirmed local high, thus confirming bearish divergence, thus confirming a likely pullback to emerge throughout most of January. I'd be looking somewhere down around low 4,000. Again, I'm not bearish on gold. I just think it's a pullback, and then you probably do have higher prices, maybe sometime later in this year. But looking at the bi-weekly as well, yeah, there's some bearish divergence building here too. That one's closing as well today. So, this pullback can theoretically go on for a while. So I do think gold's going to take a second seat. It's going to take a back seat to whatever else is going on right now. I think that also bodes well for the Bitcoin versus gold chart right here. I've been looking at this one putting in a local low, meaning that Bitcoin is likely to rally or gain value versus gold. Doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to go to the upside or to the downside for that matter. It's just Bitcoin is going to either hold its value better than gold or gain a little bit of value versus gold. But either which way, that should force this chart up. Unfortunately, it is, in a downtrend here, so got to be on lower high watch somewhere around 26 or 27, but that does mean that we should be favoring, at least I should be favoring Bitcoin in the short term here. As far as the moves that I'm making in traditional markets with long-term investments, I'm not making any moves right now. I want to let things unfold a little bit first. I do think that this pullback will be an opportunity, and it will be investable, at least for myself, but I'm looking for at least 10% down or more on SPY futures here. So are we going to get that on this pullback? I don't think that's a guarantee just yet. That would bring things a lot further down, like 6,300. So if we do get down around there, I'm going to be putting a lot of money, but until then, I'm happy to just watch and happy to just hold my holds, I suppose, and not really do all that much. All of the major holds, all of the major long-term investments were done in years prior, and I feel like right now is the time to just let things unfold and not really get too crazy with trying to make so many different moves. So ultimately, it's going to be a bit of a waiting game. Like I said, as a long-term investor, I'm just kind of sitting and holding and letting those things play out. As a short-term trader, I'm not doing that much, to be fair. not doing that much, but I do think Bitcoin has a nice balance here. So getting into Bitcoin, I do want to go first to the historical price axis indicator. We actually have not seen either side, either side of the average day range tested for the last 1, 2, 3 days, which is a testament to the fact that, we're kind of in a holiday period, very little happens, and that is to be expected. Basically a weekend, the last couple of days that we just had. But today, yeah, I suppose things are kind of moving. Monday is really where I expect things to get going yet again. But in this case, if you do see Bitcoin approach about 90,550, I would be looking for a little bit of a pullback on the first pass. I probably wouldn't get too cute with this though. Looking for like an amazing major, scalp play in this case. This has to be this is like a bunt. It's not even a single. It would be a bunt in this case. I don't even know if I really want to take that, but ultimately, I do think that Bitcoin has the potential to actually bust through here. So I would not be getting super, super aggressive with taking a scalp trade in the way that in the way that has been rewarded, on these top side tests in recent times. But if you have been scalping this, more power to you. I've gotten a lot of messages back, especially with this indicator, and then also the price action pivots indicator, with people just scalping these on intrabar plays, and they've been showing me like a fucking laundry list of trades, like very, very minute trades, but it's scalpable, I suppose. If you are the intrabar sort of scalper. But of course, need an actual plan around that as well. Anyways, moving on from there, and another chart that I think really gets the lower term timeframes very well here, and has actually been keeping us, honest with price action, even though it's been looking a certain way. I mean, realistically, it's really done nothing for the past month, but still, this one has kept us honest. In just a singular chart format, which is the Rev and Ribbons. And we're actually going to release this soon. I think first we're just going to release it for the quantum waveband people, and we're going to give them a major discount for this. And then perhaps we'll do a public release much later on. But for right now, I do want to acknowledge that this thing is reclaiming the midline. And when it does reclaim the midline by closing above the midline, which is 89,000 even, then I would be looking at the lower end of this blue box as an extremely likely target. And that is 92,200. That would be the lower end. Of course, it can trade higher. I mean, anywhere between the lower end and the top end is fair game. The top end is at about 96,400. And that also plays quite well with the meta signal setup that did come up last week, or I think it was last week, maybe it was a week before that. I'll bring it back over here. Let's go through my damn, what's it called? Twitter, X's, whatever the fuck you want to call it. But yeah, the daily setup did fire off over here. Target number 1, you'll notice, is basically directly in alignment with the lower end of the blue box at 92,250. This one's slightly higher, but it is a very high probability to be hit, just under 76%. So I like that. I think that one's very likely going to get hit on this rally. And then target number 2, which does have a much lower probability, I actually do think is possible on this rally, contingent upon a couple different things, which we'll go over a little bit later, which actually, let's just get into it right now. So one of the major things that I'd be looking for to confirm that this rally is underway, at least to $92,500 or so, and probably, honestly, probably more like 94 and a half, is if we get the red 5 EMA officially crossing and closing, which right now it's crossing but has not closed above, confirming it, above that yellow 21 EMA. Whenever we've seen that, we've kind of seen the opposite of our general corrective setup to the downside. In this case, it's going to be a correction to the upside. At minimum, that green 55 EMA is a legitimate target. Here are the results that we can backtest throughout Bitcoin's history. As you can see, this is not a good trading setup. I would not use this to actually trade, but it is really good for directional bias on YouTube, in which we can generally look for at least a minimum correction to that green 55 EMA, in pretty much all of these cases. So I do like that. And again, that would be about 92,300. We got a good confluence with the Rev and Ribbons over here, and even the meta signals set up over here. And all of these things are using completely different motors to come towards these same generalized targets. And that would be a kind of a minimum target. Do I think things can go more from there? Yeah, absolutely. In fact, I think things probably do go a little bit more from there. Back to the top side of the range at $94,000, and that's the next big test for me. If Bitcoin can start to close above the December highs of about 94,600, I think it is, then at that point, yeah, I think that you are going to see a 6-digit Bitcoin again, somewhere around $100,000, give or take a little bit from that number. However, that is personally where I'd be looking for this rally to likely get arrested, because I do think that this rally is doomed, as credit to the title of this video. Do I want it to be doomed? No, obviously not. I think that some people massively mishear this. They think that I get some sort of like sick pleasure from Bitcoin going down. Look, I hold Bitcoin. Do you think I want it to go fucking down? No, but I also need to acknowledge my own experience and my own analysis and use that, because otherwise what the fuck, what's the point of using it, and not be a goddamn cheerleader. I'm not a fucking Bitcoin cheerleader. I'm not a crypto cheerleader. I'm not a stock cheerleader. I just want to be as honest with myself as possible in order to do, a proper analysis that gives a higher probability target of one side over the other. That is the main disposition of this. Anyways, moving on from there, we did speak about that. Again, in terms of targets to the upside, I think you're extremely likely to get a reconnect with that red 5 EMA on the bi-monthly time frame as well as a quarterly time frame. The bi-monthly time frame is about $94,000, so that is the top side of the range. I think very likely we will see that hit. So 92.5 to 94.5 is a very high probability zone. In my opinion, it will go to the higher end of that zone, and then if it actually breaks above 94.5, then I do think that we will see, that 6-digit Bitcoin. As of right now, the monthly 5 EMA is about $95,000. Again, the price generally reconnects with this on each and every period, and when it doesn't, Bitcoin trades sideways until it does. And you'll notice that last month we did not see an official reconnect with that red 5 EMA. So to see more than 1 month in a row consecutively not reconnecting is very rare without just going sideways for forever. I mean, you can see an example right here: disconnects, and then again sideways until it reconnects, and then you get an actual move. Same thing over here: disconnects, reconnects, then you get an actual move. Disconnect, reconnect, and then you get, a lot of sideways and then an actual move. But you get the idea there. Anyways, my point is that, Bitcoin very likely to open up January with a bounce. It's the same kind of bounce that we were basically speaking about coming into the week of Christmas with the old Santa rally dildo face. But in this case, coming a little bit later, that's fine. Timing these things is generally, difficult, but I do still think that Bitcoin's a lot more likely to bounce out of here than not. One of the major charts that I think accurately summarizes this is just the Pesto Fear Index, which again, I'll bring back up here, which we did see in a signal that has been very consistent within Bitcoin's history when we see extreme fear on the Pesto Fear Index, which is, by the way, a massive, well, maybe not massively, but it is a, in my opinion, significantly different calculation than your general fear and greed index charts. And this one did fire off extreme fearful zones as of last week. And we saw simultaneously the weekly stochastic oscillator crossing the upside. That signal throughout Bitcoin's history is represented by these green vertical bars here. And even in the most bearish of markets, it has preceded some pretty significant bounces. And of course, in bull markets, just, been major, massive macro higher lows. So one of those two things is fine by me. Both of them do allow for short-term upside. Just one of them is maybe a little bit less bullish than the other, of course. So, do need to be acknowledging that as well. What else do we have here? Yeah, just very, very quickly as well. I want to bring back another chart that we spoke about, I believe, on Wednesday, on Wednesday's live stream. Maybe I'll go a little bit more into this detail on a singular video at next week. But in this case, again, Bitcoin has come down to that green 55 EMA. And generally, anytime Bitcoin even tests it in a bull market, that is effectively end of game. You can see the most recent one here from January 2022. Bitcoin comes down to test that green 55 EMA. It does get a major rally. And again, that is why I'm biased. One of the reasons why I'm majorly biased towards a rally here. Well above the yellow moving average, by the way, which right now the yellow moving average for the biweekly time frame is about $99,500. And again, that's a minimum target. It overshoots in every instance. But yeah, after that, it was the bull trap and then down. When we go back to 2018, 2019, well, over here in 2019, preceding the Rona dump, what did Bitcoin do? Based off of that same major moving average, the green 55 EMA, big bounce well above the yellow 21. And then, yeah, massive crash after that too. 2018 didn't officially test it, but we can look at this as more or less basically a test. And then yes, gets that rally above the yellow 21 EMA, then boom, massive sideways, massive down. And then same thing over here in 2014, based off the 55, rallies above the 21, and then big massive down. And in 2011, that's actually how Bitcoin bottomed. So, but did pull back after a nice pump up from there either way. So, in this case, I do think it is actually rather likely we will see, somewhere around $100,000 on this bounce. But if you want to go by the probabilities, very high probability between 92.5 to 94.5. Technically, if you want to wait for the confirmed breakout, that would be above 94.5. And then yes, $100,000 becomes, in my opinion, a very, reasonable target for this bounce. But as we have been going over for the past couple months now, personally, I cannot switch around to being bullish, Crown runs with bulls until Bitcoin does something very specifically. And that is close a higher time frame above 107,500. That's $107,500 price per Bitcoin on preferably a weekly, honestly. And at that point, yeah, I'd get super fucking bullish, but that is my line in the sand. Until then, I do think Bitcoin's going to bounce. I just think the bounce is, likely going to be a bull trap. And I'm 100% open to being wrong, of course, but at the end of the day, like I said, when I go through many different charts and I'm seeing things that are very consistent, I'm going to bet on that same direction. It's not always going to be right, but I'm going to bet on that same direction because it's going to be more right more often than not. So yeah, anyways, I'll take another sip of this caffeine, then we'll get into the super chats. Look at some shitty coins as well. Crown, how about that PP you lobotomized Pokemon? How about that PP? My PP no longer covered in massive sores, so I'm feeling a lot better about that. Do you know what it's like to have massive itchy sores on your peignoir and ball sack at all hours of the day? It's impossible to sleep. Impossible to sleep. Your ball sack is blown up like 2 times the size of what it naturally should be, and it's itchy as fuck. Not the way I like it, in fact. Not the way I like it indeed. PMI chart. What about the PMI? BN Mom says, hit the like, nerds. I appreciate that. Also, very much appreciate your diversity in thumbs up emoticons. It's good. We need to be inclusive here as well, even for the yellow ones, which I guess is inclusive for fucking Simpson people or something like that. Carol Cassia says Bitcoin is a future green hammer candle on the weekly charts. Bitcoin at 200,000 soon. I believe you, sir. Just let me. I'll sell you some $200,000 calls in the meantime, though. No problem, right? it's going there, so why not? Parasites? No, it's not parasites. I caught this thing called hand, foot, and mouth. Who knows how the fuck I got it? Maybe from my 3-year-old niece, maybe from the gym. Who knows? Doesn't really matter, I suppose. But yeah, I caught that and I just got it fucking bad, man. When I went to the doctor on Christmas and then the lady said, you got the worst case of this shit I've ever seen. But it will go away. You're going to be fine. And at the end of the day, I mean, shit, man, like I'm okay as long as I know nothing serious is actually happening. Like I'm not going to fucking die. I'm not going to be maimed or anything like that. It's like, okay, whatever. I'll go through the pain. I'll go through whatever it is. It's just annoying at that point. It's not like actually deadly. So yeah, man. Pink dolphin vagina would clear that right up. Like what? Wait, what? You said something about dolphin have sex with dolphins. Dolphin, fuck you, dolphin. Fuck you, whale, and fuck you, dolphin. All right, let's look at some shit coins over here. What's a live stream without some shitcoin analysis? We got some XRP from Pisa as always. Yeah, let's actually use this chart. This is a good chart for that. Or sorry, no. Let's use a momentum chart right now. I do think momentum charts are going to be preferable in the short term. All right, XRP actually on my list. Don't own it, but someone always asks about it, so I am keeping it here. Yeah, it looks like, oh, thank God, man. Okay, so we did get our 180 test. We've gotten our 180 test multiple times. I do think this is the bounce, man. We do see that there is a bullish engulfing dildo in the making right now. It just needs to close this week on Sunday above 195, which is above right now. Of course, a lot can happen between now and Sunday, but I would say whatever price closes at today for the daily is probably where you're going to see things settle on Sunday anyways. So if you do see today close above that 195 region, you got a bullish engulfing dildo. And I really do think that you're going to have a nice rally here. Maybe the target's going to be a little bit lower than what I was proposing before at like 240 to 250, but I do think that you're at least going to get up to like 220, 225 region, and then eyeball it from there, or not eyeball it from there, but take it from there. I want to see things and how they emerge from there. Bi-weekly time frame, again, based off of the green 55 EMA. It's like, this is not strong price action, but it's good enough for a bounce. It's good enough for a bounce. Is the point that I'm trying to make. As far as momentum goes, this thing does want to go lower overall. When we go to the higher term time frames, like the monthly, you can see that this one is losing the bullish control zone, does have bearish divergence, and is going to be showing downside momentum as long as XRP's closing monthlies below 310. So it's got a lot of work to do. I don't think it's going to do that. And when I see bearish divergence on this rejecting the bullish control zone, that's a pretty strong signal in and of itself. So I do think that this one will resolve lower overall. But first things first, let it bounce. Let it fucking bounce, baby. Bi-monthly time frame getting its first cross to the downside. By the way, that's how the last couple cycles ended as well. That's January of 2022 and of course January of 2018. You already know where those are on the chart. That's right here and right here. Those were the last macro highs. This one shows downside pressure as long as you're below 236. Obviously not closing at the end of January, but at the end of February. But again, these things, just long term, I think it's corrective at best, but I do think you're in for a short-term rally, just like Bitcoin, So does this one get to like 220, 225 and then keel over, or does it get to like 240, 250 and then keel over? I don't know, but I do believe at some point you will see the October wick filled or close around there to like 140 to 150 region. So yeah, long-term, I'm not a big fan of this one. Rect Dgen says, hello, sir. Can you please look at SPX 6900? I heard it's going to flip the stock market and give me more returns than SPX in its totality. Well, that's a great idea because, of course, this thing has the most important thing, which is a strong community. We all need strong communities. That's right. Yes, your community members who are also bag holding for much higher prices. Wait, what? No. Hold on. They just believe, man. Look, you're not going to get rewarded with the shitcoins if you don't believe. Everyone knows that. You need to believe. You need to believe in the shitcoins, and then you get riches. That's how it works. You don't get rich by buying low and selling high. No. That's so 50 years ago. Nowadays, you get rich by having a strong community of very powerful, very underwater, very poor bag holders.
Killing spree.
We got one. Oh, we got one. Rosie didn't like it.
Boob, you boob, you boob,
you boob, you boob dog. Anyways, choose rich. How's the Hexagon Strong community going? Well, I'm glad you asked, Mr. Sam Fregnosi. I'm glad you asked. Let's look at the Hex Strong community coin. Ah, wait, what? Hold on. It's looking pretty good on the log scale, right? Wait a second. That's my real chart? Oh, I'm fucked.
Morning to you.
Why are you gay?
Great. Fucking great, yeah. I'm not happy that Hex gone down, but I wish that I saved all of the very love-infused notes that I received from community members, from the Hex community, back in 2021, 2022, when, we were over here. I'm like, okay, I think this thing's topped like for forever. A lot of hate from that one, man. A lot of hate from that one. Very strange. Very strange. But yeah, I mean, looking at Hex, shit, man, that is that is the most perfect place for the next weekly lower high. For God's sake, that is picture fucking perfect. That is picture fucking perfect. And of course, does it even trade? There's not been a single trade this whole week. Wait, what? That can't be true. No, that can't be true. Something's wrong here. Yeah, we haven't seen a trade since December 26th. This must be incorrect. That can't be correct. I don't know, is this thing delisted from, oh, it's delisted. Oh my God. TradingView is trolling the Hex community. Look at this. It says delisted, happy holiday traders. I'm surprised they didn't put traders in air quotes or something. I realize this is. Let's zoom it in. Zoom it in, buddy. What is the length of the yellow EMA on the Bitcoin chart? That's a 21 EMA. It's a 21 always for me. Anyways, Quinn X's ZEC didn't finish below 476, pumping more. Let's check it out. So that's the number that I was looking at for Zcash to confirm if it was going to be bearish or potentially have a chance. And yes, indeed, it did not close below 476. Indeed, yeah, it closed above 500 actually. So in this case, I have to give it a chance here. And personally, I would have to be bullish as long as you're above the November low, or I think it's a November low, maybe it's December. It's December's low of 302. So maybe it does something like this. I mean, you do have another swing high right here. So it probably is going to swing back down to maybe like 390, 370 reason, but have to be looking for a higher low there. Cause if it does something like this, I mean, that is bullish. And the fact that it did not close below 476, sorry, it wasn't even 476, it's 370, man. So it closed more than $100 above that pivot. Yeah, I mean, look, I look at this and I think, oh God, long term, this is probably just garbage. But to be fair, it has not violated any major pivots as of right now that would confirm long-term bearishness. So I would actually be looking at last month's low, the December low, as a major pivot now. As long as you're above there, technically it is bullish. And if Bitcoin is going to bounce, we should be expecting this thing to bounce as well, maybe after a short-term pullback. But yeah, this would be the right environment for something like this to do okay. But yeah, in the short term, do I think it's going to pull back? Yeah, I do think it's going to pull back a little bit more, but you got higher lows the whole way through until you're, realistically below like 400 at least. So, if it came down to like 440 or even 460, that's fine. It's completely fine. I'd be looking for this thing to create a range right here. You just rejected the top side of the range. It's completely fine. I just think you're going to go lower first and then try, a rally. Yeah, not bad, man. Not bad, at least as it stands right now. Moving on from there, we got Simo Haya. Simo Haya that's the fucking Finnish sniper, isn't it? Isn't it? Simo Haya, is that right, Elsa? Yeah. It is, yeah. It's the White Death, one of the most badass of Finns of all time. This guy, he killed like an untold amount of Russians during the Winter War in Finland. Pretty impressive, honestly. Elsa says, oh yeah. By the way, Finns fucking hate Russians in general. You don't have to worry about being canceled. Like, everyone hates Russians now. I know not all Russians are bad, obviously, but of course, Finns are not going to like them because, the Russians tried to invade them back in World War II. And somehow, by some act of God, the Finns pushed them back. Pretty crazy piece of history there. But I mean, the Finns did lose a lot, to be fair, but they stopped the Russians well enough to make them go to the negotiation table. Anyways, AVAV, long-term, explosive drones. I like that narrative, but I'm not a humongous fan of this chart in the short term. I do think you are going to open up this month on a bounce, maybe to like 269, 270-ish region. But from there, I would be looking for this thing to probably correct a little bit more. Then again, I don't see the exact signal I'd want to see on the quarterly time frame to confirm an actual real downside correction. So yeah, I still do think that it will. Let's see what it looks like from this angle. I'm not seeing exactly what I want to see just yet. Or sorry, when I say that, I mean like something that I actually feel very strongly about. Bi-monthly time frame, yeah, you had some bearish divergence there. If it does want to correct a little bit lower, I'd be looking towards $200, but that's where I'd be expecting a higher low. Quarterly time frame, yeah, you got some bearish divergence there too. So if it does correct down to 200, I think that's an opportunity. Monthly time frame should try a bounce in the short term and then come down if I had to guess. But I'm not bearish on this. I just think it might correct a little bit lower first and then try upside. If I'm wrong about it, I'm wrong about it. Higher term time frames are, well, that is a little bit problematic there, but yeah, I can't really get truly bearish on it until you're like well below $200 and close in a monthly below there. If that happens, then yeah, I'd call it reversal. But for right now, I think that this is a short-term correction followed by more upside. In general, I really like these as a narrative, defense technology basically, and that's what this is. You do have some hidden bullish evidence here. So yeah, I do feel confident about a short-term pop, but I just don't think that pop continues with trend to the upside. I think it's like a range play, then back down, and then you get your trend from there. if I had to guess. What's up, Truth TV? He says, hey, Happy New Year. What's up, man? Happy New Year to you as well. BE, traditional market. Fuck yeah, we got all sorts of traditional markets now. I love that this community is just slowly gravitating towards traditional markets, as I have as well. I think it just shows that this community is maturing. And I mean, honestly, that's where the opportunity is right now. Like cryptos is kind of irrelevant at the moment. In the whole narrative scheme. I mean, the narratives right now are metals like gold, like silver and palladium and these sorts of things. And then defense, or not defense, but technology in general, AI, robotics, this sort of shit. Not shit, obviously. It's obviously very, very good. But this thing, look, the breakout is real to me. If it corrects back down to like 72 first and then tries an upside move, I don't know, but I would be expecting new highs this year. I'm inclined to say it will open up this year on a pullback though. Then again, I go to the weekly and that's just not what it's showing. So either way, I think that it will resolve higher. The question that I have is, does it open up the year on a pullback first to like 75, 70-ish region and then go to the upside, or to just go to the upside from here? Very short term should try a little bit higher towards like 105, but that's not a breakout move. Yeah, the short term, I really don't know. The long term, I would feel quite confident about here. If I had to guess, short term, medium term, over the next month or so is going to be sideways in a range between 110 to the upside versus about 75 to the downside. I would like to see a test down to 75 first and then the upside to resume, but yeah, either way, I think that this thing does have more up to go later this year, though. Later this year. It's going to take some time, my man. Straight Path says, Happy New Year, sir. Happy New Year to you as well, sir. Do we see sub $10 for CLSK? I don't know. Let's see. It depends what sort of a time frame you look at for that. Okay, so actually, yes, I do. And I've been saying that for a while now, because while I do think that this thing is overall okay, it is caught within a range, and I think my LARP lines here are still directionally correct. The range highs are 23.5, your range lows are about 6.5. You rejected the range highs. You also lost the middle of the range too, so I am inclined to say you're going to come down closer, at least to the white 200 simple on the weekly time frame, maybe a little bit lower than that as well, but that is technically slightly below $10. Maybe that puts you between 7.5 to $9.5. So maybe it's like an inch below 100, 10, but I do think that you will get down around there. But at the same time, I would not be bearish on that. This is still, as long as it holds this range, I actually would have a long-term bullish bias on it. I just think it might take a long fucking time, man. This could go well out into, deep 2026 before it tries another real upside move. For right now, long-term, it's still very much unproven, or at least the proof that it does have long-term is down. But I'd give it a chance on the bottom side of this range. So to answer your question, yes, I do think it will go sub 10. Probably within the next couple months. Anyways, Davald. I think I just said it right. MicroStrategy, daily, weekly. Yeah, I got you. Always fun to look at MicroStrategy. Yeah, opening up the month on the green 55 EMA. Look, this is not strong here, but it should be good for a bounce. Coming down to a major moving average like this, like you can see, you can wick below it, you can hang below it a little bit, but generally you're going to bounce from this number. And I do think that you will bounce well above $200, somewhere around like 220 to maybe as much as 250. But this is a monthly time frame. This could take a long time to play out is kind of the problem, to point that out right now. Weekly time frame, we did get a wick a little bit closer to the white 200 simple on the weekly. We were marking that off as a possibility in recent times. I still think the same thing. Here's my chart from, months ago now. I do think that the LARP lines are still generally correct here. I think that this is a bounce zone. I think that the downside is more or less done here in the short term and medium term, and we will see a bounce. But keep in mind, any sort of a bounce that fails to reclaim fucking 365 is a lower high. So my point is that you can bounce a lot here. You can have like a 50% fucking bounce, still be long-term bearish. That's the unfortunate reality with this thing. But yeah, look, if I have to call it here, I am absolutely biased towards a bounce, and I do think you will see a 2 handle on this thing. So maybe that's tradable for you. I don't know, but ultimately you have a very easy invalidation here at that white 200 simple on the weekly as well. So yeah, yeah, and if you're on the daily, yeah, again, bullish engulfing dildo right here. I think short term, you're popping up to 170, and then over the next month or two, you see above $200 and come back to it after that, man. Stephen Shigma, what's up, man? MSTZ. Yes, this is the inverse. inverse MicroStrategy. Okay, so last I looked at this, I did suggest it was going to go higher first before lower. After looking at MicroStrategy and after looking at this again with fresh eyes, I'm inclined to say that this one will have a local high probably about here and come down. But as we just went over with the MicroStrategy chart, long term, I'm not a major fan of it. So I do think you've probably seen the easy portion of this move already played out. Then again, I'm not getting the topping signals I'd expect to see on this, but I don't know how much I should trust indicators when you have a chart that just, it's just straight fucking down. I mean, it's not that helpful in this case. Daily time frame does have bearish divergence, so short term, I do think it will come down, maybe back to like $13. Theoretically, that would still be a higher low, so I should be expecting a bounce there. But granted, the MicroStrategy regular chart, I'm a lot more inclined to say that that chart is an obvious bounce region, and so this one should play inversely of that. So it should come down in the short term. Maybe it sets in a higher low and then goes higher, but I would be expecting short-term downside. And then at some later date, this thing probably does try higher. But yeah, it's kind of a tough one for me right now because, I do think at some point this thing probably does go higher. But for right now, I think this thing's going lower in the short term. Give it a chance to put in a higher low at around 12.5 to 13.5. And I'd only call a reversal on this if it comes back down below your December lows from the 9th of December at $10.5 or 10.39, the price action pivot right here. If you see that, then yeah, it's a reversal and this thing should come back down to the lows of 2025. And at that point, you kind of have to be really bullish on MicroStrategy. But I personally am not of that persuasion right now. But that would validate that persuasion for me. Again, taking out the December low. So that's where I change around my opinion. Until then, pull back short term, probably a higher low. So yeah. All right. What else we got here? Else got them all nice and organized for me. That's really cool. Chris Fellow, what is the length of the yellow EMA? Yep, that's 21. That's a 21 as always. And then you're also looking at Bcash. Oh God. So Bcash has been knocking on the door of an actual breakup for a long time. But to me, that's kind of a bad signal just because this thing it's good at one thing and one thing only, and that's failing fucking miserably. So it's like, again, I'll say the same thing as before, man. If you showed me this chart and you got rid of Bcash at the top left, I'd say, oh yeah, this thing's knocking on the door. It wants to break out. But I've just never seen Bcash actually reverse. So I'm inclined to say it's probably not going to do it here. I think it's probably going to fail. Technically speaking, you don't have a confirmed failure till you back below 440, but yeah, I mean, slight amount of bearish divergence here. I just don't think it matters that much on this. I'm kind of being a dick about this one, to be honest. But I'm going off of my experience with Bcash rather than the actual chart here. My experience with Bcash, watching it for the past 8 years, is that if this thing rallies, but it's still on a lower high, it's probably just going to fail, man. That's what it always does. But as far as, confirming a breakout to the upside, it's still the same thing as before. It needs to trade and close above December of last year. Of 2 years ago from 2024 at 640 and a quarter on a monthly to confirm a breakout. At that point, it probably does have a major move to the upside, like, $1,000 or more. I don't know, man. It's so difficult for me to see this thing as bullish, just given its past. Let's look at it from a momentum oscillator perspective. Maybe this can help with some biases. Monthly time frame will turn down at the end of January if this thing finishes below 558. It's trading at 595 right now, so that'd be a really early indication that if this one does close January, we're on the second day of January, so it's not really worth talking about. But if it finishes January below 558, I would feel very confident getting bearish on this thing, saying that this is indeed another failed rally attempt. But it is in a strong position. I mean, that's what makes this very difficult. Daily time frame, see momentum to the downside, but it's a tough one. Like I said, any other chart, I'm bullish on this, but because it's Bcash, it's just it never pulls through. I've never seen it pull through. So yeah. Anyways, Simo Haya is back. He says, check out Project Appleseed, combination marksmanship class and American Revolutionary War history lecture. Very beginner friendly. Cool. Actually, I'm actually going to write that down, man. Thank you for that. I get so many good suggestions from these streams. Hold on. Appleseed. Hey, damn it. Hold on. Okay, there we go. And where exactly was that? Project Appleseed. Project Appleseed. Got it. Project Appleseed. Yeah, man, I love this sort of stuff. So thank you. Sincerely, thank you for that suggestion, because I've found so many cool things through these streams, whether it be like interesting tickers, assets to invest in, or whether it just be like interesting videos and shit like that. I mean, fuck, man, Caretaker suggested this guy on YouTube to me like a few weeks ago. His name is Grand Thumb. I can't stop watching his fucking videos. I don't know what it is, man. I can't stop. All right, the Vonyuk is back. What's up, man? Deep Yellow, DYLLF, a long-term OTC winner. I feel like we've looked at this one before, but I don't have a mental picture of it. OTC stuff is notoriously bullshit, but this actually does objectively have a good chart. I like the higher low right here with momentum. Flipping back up above 156, so it actually is going to be down right now, but I actually do like this as of the moment. Quarterly is still up. I think that this one pushes through here, actually. So at some point in this quarter. Weekly is fresh up, showing momentum to the upside above 104. I think that this is your next higher low, man. So whether it creates a range here and maybe comes back down to 105, 110 region and then tries some upside, or whether it just tries it from here, I actually do like this. So do I think it could be an OTC winner? Yeah, I do think so. And again, not because it's guaranteed, but because there's such an easy and obvious invalidation point to be, changing your mind upon, which is just right here, 93 cents, the beautiful price action pivot. As long as you're above there, it's a bullish bias. Below there, okay, yeah, it's failure like most OTC projects, but this is objectively good for right now. So if there ever is going to be a winner, it probably looks something like this, man. Yeah, I think if you had to pick one, well, this is as good as any, I suppose. Eduardo, what's up, Mr. Eduardo? PP, please. PP, please. Give me some PP action in my throat. Wait, what? Wow, an amazing chart. Incredible. Big rally in the short term, and I do think the rally is a little bit more, should at least test the yellow 21 EMA, which is some ungodly number. Good luck reading that one, but somewhere around the yellow moving average, I think at minimum. But here's the thing. I think that there is potential for more, actually. You're seeing momentum turn up to the upside for the first time in a long time, especially in the critical zone here. And we're seeing this on low volatility. So, I'd say that that's a minimum target at the yellow 21 EMA. And if it wants to go higher, somewhere around the green moving average is kind of where I look at for the top side. So let's just say around here, something like that. It is still a lower high, like long term. So I think that that's probably going to be, if you're looking to short or looking to sell this thing, that's probably good a place as any. Long term, this thing is likely doomed. But yeah, I mean, look at the month. This is just fucking garbage long term. But short term, probably tries a little bit more upside and then come back to it after that. But I'd be looking for a lower high in this red circle here. Something like that. If things get really crazy, maybe it's more like this. Maybe it tags this sort of swing high right here. Very possible. But either which way, it's just a game of finding the next lower high. But yes, in the short term, I do think it tries some upside, man. I do think it tries some upside here. So fair enough. We got Brillo next. He's looking at copper. What is the symbol for copper? XCU. Yeah. Are you looking at copper futures or? Oh, I guess we'll just go to this one. And you're looking at daily, weekly, monthly. I'm so excited. Tomorrow we're going to go to the shooting range with my brother-in-law and his brother. Really cool guys. And Elsa's going to shoot her first gun for forever. She's becoming a real American, And then she wants to carry a fucking gun on her purse or on her person, not in her purse, but on her person. Really good on copper long term. While I do think you might at some point in this quarter pull back to like 545, 550-ish region, I think ultimately that is a major opportunity. This thing wants to go higher. The question is, does it want to go higher first or pull back first into a higher low at like 545 and then bust on through? I really don't know in the short term. My strong opinion is on the long term. But if I had to call the short term, it would be, it's actually probably up from here if I had to guess, but I don't feel as confident on that. I feel very confident about the higher term time frame, look like the quarterly and the monthly. These want to go higher. This thing wants to make new all-time highs. This is objectively a good chart that is breaking out freshly. I feel like I don't own this thing. I have no dog in this fight, but I do think that this one is going higher, man. And metals are just kind of the narrative right now too. You know, you got gold, silver, copper, palladium, fucking platinum, everything right now. These things are the hot things. It's what crypto was 5 years ago in 2021, where crypto was a hot thing. Bitcoin was a hot thing. Now it's not so much anymore. The narrative is with the metals, with the real metals. And to a lesser extent right now, AI and robotics. But, you know, these things always shift around. So we shall see what happens in the future. What else we got, man? What else we got? What's up, Peter Underwood? Good to see you, man. Lightweight, baby. Fuck yeah. Grant has some cool videos. He really does, man. Like, I love watching, like, it's videos that are not relevant to me at all. You know, like, which gun shoots better when it's fully in mud? And it's like no guns that I have or no guns that I can't even get. But I'm like, I need to know. I need to know this. Okay, now let's fill them with sand and see which one still shoots well. I need to know. I need to know. Let's see. Fyodor says, near, ready for a breakout. I'm sure it is, man. I'm sure this 2021 shitcoin is going to the moon and beyond, but by virtue of going through the center of the earth first, man, like this one's going to fucking Hades. I actually do think the LARP lines here are still kind of correct. Okay, it's not going to be this big of a rally though. That's for damn sure. I do think most things with a crypto in the crypto sphere are in for bounces to open up 2026 in January, just like Bitcoin is. This thing can easily trade to like 210, maybe even $2.50, but that's a beautiful place for another lower high. This thing I think is down only generally for 2026 with bounces along the way. But of course, you know, even on a down only trend, you generally will see a reconnect on the monthly red 5 EMA here. So that's all the way at 190 to $2. So I really do think that you can get a bounce around there. I just think that that's going to be your next lower high before pushing off lower. Yeah, very bad. I mean, again, quarterly here, 230 maybe at most on a bounce, but long-term down. And again, the quarterly almost always reconnects here as well. So yeah, that's 240. Maybe at some point in this quarter, you do get that rally up around 220, 230, whatever it ends up being. But I would be looking at that as another lower high. Yeah, these things want to go lower, man. Leonidas, man, that is the fucking coolest name. Holy shit. I really hope that that's your real name because I want to name my kid that. You hear that, Elsa? We're going to name our kid Leonidas. Leonidas or Leonidas. Can you look at ACHR? This is Archer. I recognize the name, but I don't recognize the chart. So let's see it. Yeah, not as interesting here. And I think that this one's a lot more likely to try. You want to name it Gandalf? How about let's name it Superman? Great idea. How about let's name it Frankenstein? Like, you know, like Big Daddy. Okay. This chart isn't super helpful to me right now. Let's see it from this angle. Let's see what it looks like over here. To be honest, this is a very difficult one for me. I don't really want to give an opinion on it because I don't feel that strongly about it. If I had to call it, I do think that this is a swing high here and it does come lower, but I don't feel strongly about this. So I'm going to take the bitch way out and say, I don't know. A healthy amount of I don't know for this one. If I had to call it, it's going to be down in the short term, back down at 6.5. Come back to it after that, but I just don't feel strongly on this one because I'm not seeing anything that's like super obvious. The obvious place we already had it sold off on the retest of its all-time high. Okay, we get that. From here, I'm inclined to say down, but I don't feel that strong, and I'm not seeing anything that's super obvious. Because the corrective move that we would have expected from the 3 drives of bearish divergence already played out to that green 55 EMA. So the easy moves I think have already been had in this one. Personally, I'd avoid it until I see something that's obvious, which is not right now. So like I said, if I had to call it short-term down to 6.5, come back to it after that. Technically bearish as long as you're below the December high of 906. Price action pivot right there. Crown loves Sparta. I do love Sparta, man. And I even got my Spartan helmet right there, directly from Greece, actually, directly from Santorini. I love that thing, man. I love that thing. Then Chris Fellow is looking at Doggy, daily, weekly, 18-cent target likely. Well, I think most things are going to bounce. It's not to get super crazy here. Yeah, actually, yes, I do think 18-cent target is not that crazy. Same thing on this thing, and this is what was really bothering me on this thing. You know, it was hanging around that 200 simple for a while. Just it's unlikely to see it really truly break below without another bounce attempt. And now we have a bullish engulfing dildo in the process while also reclaiming the red 5 EMA and the 200 simple. So to me, that's a very strong signal. I do think it's going to rally up somewhere between 17.5 cents on the lower end and maybe as much as 19.25 cents on the higher end, somewhere in this pocket here, basically. Somewhere in this pocket there. And if history is anything to go off of, which typically is, probably a good rejection there too. Hey, what's up, Rickator? I appreciate that, man, but feel free to leave an actual comment as well. Doggy will pop or poop. I do think that it rallies here. Most things are probably going to rally in the short term. Just be aware, you know, that's kind of the perfect place for a lower high. What's up, Gangsters? How you doing, Mr. Tommy Two Thumbs? What's up, man? Good to see you as always, man. Good to see you as always. Dog will pop probably in all of its gayness, says the vegan skunk gaming. Whoa. A lot of things going on with that name. But yeah, man. No, I do agree. Most things in cryptosphere want to bounce right now. Bitcoin included, you know, back above 90,000. Oh, I forgot to go over this as well. There's also another super easy way to, or maybe we did go over this. This crossover here is inevitable if Bitcoin finishes today above 89,375. I think it's a formality at this point. I think that you will see at least 92,300 hit. And then my personal opinion is that you will see it a little bit higher, at least 94.5. And that's where the next major decision is made. But for right now, you know, Bitcoin does have a higher low in here compared to the mid-December low. So it's a bit of a rounded bottom, should rally from here. Just how high does this rally get is a real question. Let's see what else we got. Wayne Batson says, poor Rosie. She's doing well. She's all right. She's got a little bit of a cough too, though, unfortunately. Hey, what's up, Mr. Matthew Smead? Chronos for fit in crypto. Sure. Oh, God. This is some random nameless shitcoin from many years yonder. Look, it is very likely in a rally here, to be fair. It is very likely in a rally here. Just most of these things are rallying into lower highs. This thing is no exception. I think it could rally as high as like 10 to 12 cents, but that would be the most perfect place for another lower high, in my opinion. But yeah, short term should rally. Should try a rally here. Almost everything is setting up for a bit of a rally attempt. So yeah, will XRP get to $10? Maybe if you measure in Venezuelan bolivars or something like that. But I don't know, man. It's not my first target, I'll put it that way. 550 watching, less than 200 likes. Bull slam the likes, says Fitting Crypto. Appreciate it, man. Rick Ader says AROC. Gotcha. Okay. Arch Rock. Okay. New one for me. Never seen it before, but I really like it on the weekly here. This is really, really constructive. 1, 2, 3 higher lows in a tight range with same highs. The bias is absolutely on an upside breakout. Price action pivot here is 26.25. So, or 26 in 20 cents. So any sort of a weekly closure above there should do it. We have a weekly closure coming in literally just under 4 hours. So if we do see that confirmed above that number, I'd be looking for this thing to retest highs. Okay, not all-time highs, but the highs from February of 2025. And very well could rally from there as well. I mean, this thing is setting up for a potential real reversal. You got your same highs tested from, nearly 10 years ago in August 2014. This has the potential for a real reversal. I don't have a higher low in just yet, so that's a little bit concerning, but yeah, give it a chance here. Only bearish if it comes back down below the December low. Yeah. Or sorry, not even December low, but November low. If it comes back down below there, yeah, very, very bearish. But until then, upside, I think is significantly more likely here. My pulse chain will rise from the depths of hell. That's right. And it will make you rich for your conviction in supporting Mr. Hart. Mr. Hart, who has love and appreciation for you. I don't know. Probably does. Who knows? Where has he been around for a while? Like where is he now? Where is he now? I feel like I haven't seen him pop his head up in a long time. Hopefully he's all good, man. For all the shit that he gets, like, well, I won't complete that statement. I don't know if he's a good person. I don't know if he's a bad person, but I don't think he's an evil guy. Maybe he is. I don't know. You fucking tell me. I don't do research on this dude anyways. It's not relevant to me anyways. I don't hold his shit coins. I just don't have time to research this sort of stuff. But yeah, Nexo here. Okay, long term, it is down. Long term, almost undoubtedly, you're going to see this thing come back down to 2023 lows at 55 cents. But most things want to rally right now, and this thing could easily rally to like a buck in the short term, which is about a 10% move from where it's at right now. I think you could even rally above $1, maybe towards like 105, 110. But I just wouldn't get too cute with this thing. This wants to roll over. You got lower high, lower high, lower high, same lows all the way through here. The bias is on downside, absolutely. But can it rally in the short term and put in yet another lower high like this and then shit the bed all the way down, to those 2023 lows? Yeah, I think that's very likely what's going to happen here. Vince have PH8, very healthy, sir. Very non-acidic, I think. CAD. Okay, we got some Forex here. Canadian dollar versus the real dollar. And Canadian dollar, I do think, is putting in a lower high right here on the weekly. But let's zoom out a bit. I know you asked exactly about a weekly. But I do want to see higher term timeframes. And I'm glad I did. Man. Because I do think that this chart does go higher. So in the short term, does it pull back a little bit and then try higher? I think, yeah. Maybe it pulls back to like 72 cents or something like that. But I do think this one wants to go higher at least to 74-ish. And if things get really crazy, it should break out to 76.5. So I do think that this one does have a move higher overall. But if you're on the weekly specifically, short term, it probably pulls back a little bit. I would just be looking for a higher low. Anything above 71.5 cents is fair game. So whether it's 72, whether it's 71, 75, I don't know, somewhere around there. It's bullish as long as you're above the November low. So November low is the price action pivot here at 70.76. So I'd be favoring continuation to those numbers that we spoke about earlier. Still long term, it's pretty fucking ugly, pretty fucking bearish. But yeah, at least that would be an upside bias. Yeah, not a big fan of the yearly as well, long term, but should try some upside, I would imagine, first half of this year. Yeah. Again, I would switch around to being massively bearish, again, if you do lose November lows from 2025. All right, we got Ray now. What's up, man? XMR, yeah, let's look at this. Especially with Zcash doing its thing, I imagine Monero is knocking on the door as well. Unfortunately, did not close above the most easy and obvious number that would have been able to declare this one a breakout, but I still think it's in a very strong position here. While it is going to open up this quarter on a bit of a pullback, I'd still be bullish on it as long as you're above the price action pivot at 360. So can it pull back down to like 390? Sure. Can it pull back down to like 375? Sure. But the second that it goes down to below 360, I would get bearish on it. Until then, give it a chance because the quarterly did close very strong. It did close on new highs for the quarterly, to be fair. And the yearly is not so bad here either. So I would be looking at any sort of a pullback as likely an opportunity. Because I think that this thing's going to make new all-time highs this year. I'll just say it straight up. I think that this thing does make new all-time highs this year, 2026. That might be early in the year. That might be later in the year. I don't fucking know. but I do think this thing will push higher later this year. In the short term, though, I guess if there was going to be a pullback, short term makes more sense for that. Just don't want to see it, again, violate below the December low of 360, very specifically. And God bless you as well, sir. Oh, man. Always got some on my damn throat. Okay. Yeah, I did get one of Ricardo's Rick is it Ricartor? Crown One Baby, I don't know, working on it, man. Crown interviewed Hart many moons ago. Yeah, that was back in 2018 or 2019, I think. It's very interesting. I just kind of let him talk, and I don't really know why I had him on at the time. There was like a few people who were really adamant about having him on, but they turned out to be Hex shills who were like former BitConnect shills. In hindsight, probably wasn't the best idea. Probably should have just stayed out of that one. But at the same time, there's no problem with letting people talk and letting other people make up their minds from that. But then again, that really only works if people are being truthful, I suppose, as well. So anyways, at this point, lesson learned. I'll put it that way. Dale Lane, Happy New Year to you as well, sir. In Mike's Mind and Matter, the highest of stakes. Yeah, I did not watch the highest of stakes. Actually, Sam, is it on Netflix, or do you have to have like one of those weird, obscure streaming services that no one really has in order to watch this? I don't know. My wife is Russian, says Godblood. Good wives, very good wives. Just be wary that she may kill you in your sleep. But yeah. I'll scroll up a little bit. Simon H says Netflix daily. I got you. NFLX. I forget what this chart looks like. So let's see. Yeah. Toppy, sloppy toppy, very sloppy toppy. At some point, I do think it comes back down to like $80, maybe even all the way down to 72, 73. So ultimately downside, I think, is very, very, very likely here. Monthly time frame is you losing the bullish controls on the monthly stochastic oscillator. Don't like that. Maybe it'll reconnect with the red 5 EMA at $100 first and then go down. But either which way, I think it will resolve down. So whether it reconnects with like $100 first and then goes down, or it just goes straight down from here, I don't know. But I do feel very strongly it will come to the downside this year, this quarter, between this quarter and yeah, probably in this quarter. Other than that, I'll hold off on saying anything else. I mean, shit, the daily looks like it does want to go straight down from here, which is kind of crazy. You know, a lot of the time these things will open up on a pity bounce to start off the year. It's very nice. Could be the most hated rally ever. Despite my, flippant title, I don't think it's the most hated rally just because there's almost no one except for us like fucking Bitcoin freaks still watching this shit or paying attention to Bitcoin. It is what it is, man. Look, I'm more than happy that people are still around, who actually somewhat interested in Bitcoin or crypto, I suppose. But I totally get that the masses are just not interested at this time. It's not the hot thing. It's not the cool thing anymore. Let's see. The Vegan Skunk Gaming says, would it make sense to rally till May, or is it too far to look out that bright? I think it's too far to look out there. I feel pretty confident in the next month to 3 months, but going out further than that, it's like the picture just gets very hazy. It's a very low resolution picture. So yeah. Let's see what else. Quality Learning Center. Is that a ticker? Is that a stonk? Did I miss the Ethereum analysis? We haven't actually looked at Ethereum. Let's go check it out. I think it got back above 3,000 today. Yeah, it's back above there. We were looking at a rally like this in early 2026. I think that this one does go higher, but there's a really important pivot here that can make my upside targets significantly higher, like maybe another $4,000 tick. And that would just be trading back above the December high, the swing high here at 34.55. For right now, it's opening up on a good bounce to start off this new year. Weekly stochastic momentum to the upside, low volatility as well. So I do think this move does have some, oomph, if you will. Should get up to like 3,300 or so. And if it can actually close above that December high, I would extend that target to like 3,900, maybe even 4,000. At that point, this really does start to look like a potential real reversal. I'd imagine Bitcoin's above $100,000 at that point. But here's the thing. The higher term timeframes are still undoubtedly ugly. Your monthly time frame is getting its first stochastic momentum cross to the downside, and it will be showing downside pressure as long as you're below 4,400. So while short term, I do think it rallies at least to like 3,250 to 3,300. That is where you would expect a rejection if it is going to come down further. Quarterly time frame did lose the 5 EMA here, so generally going to be looking at a test towards the 21 EMA. But in the short term, I think you do get that rally back up to 33-ish, give or take $50 from that number. So it's a weird one here. I think the easier analysis for this is to just say follow whatever Bitcoin does, because Bitcoin's a more obvious chart right now. This thing is less so, in my opinion. But the very obvious thing is back above those December highs. I think that this rally really gets going into like close to 4,000 if that happens. Ray Now 97 says, Crown here since before 2019. fucking yes, man. And I know because you've been commenting throughout all this time. And well, anyone who's commented for that amount of time, of course, I'm going to remember, man. Started from scratch. Now am at mid 5 figures. Learned so much from you. Haven't missed a single video in 2 years. That's fucking awesome, man. I appreciate that. And of course, man, if you're ever, if we're ever around the same town, same city, just hit me up, man. I'm pretty easy to get with, to be honest. Like, I've met many people from this community. I've never regretted meeting anyone from this community. Everyone's been super chill, super cool, and just super normal in a good way. That is normal in a good way, man. But dude, more power to you, man. More power to you. I believe you're probably in India, and I believe that's probably like those are big fucking returns in rupees, of course. So more power to you, man. That's awesome. It's things do take a long time to really master when it comes to trading or investing. But if you're having success like that, within the past 5-6 years, that's awesome, man. That's fucking awesome. I'm so glad to see shit like that, just because I know like what it's like to, I know what it's like to basically start from scratch, because there's been a time in my life where I literally was like poor, like poor with zero money, poor. That was a scary time. And I will always remember that. I'll never forget that. So I always identify and sympathize and feel, what's it called? Empathy, I guess, towards people who are in that same sort of situation, because it fucking sucks. If I don't care what anyone tells you, people say money won't make you happy. Yeah, try being fucking poor, idiot. try that. Okay, it'll at least get rid of your money problems. It's not going to make you necessarily happy, but it'll get rid of a lot of issues that are certainly related to money. So yeah, man, anything that can help you, generate more income or generate actual wealth, I think is a positive thing to be putting out in the world. Areeb says, GM Crown, been following since 2021. Hell's fucking yeah, and just got married a couple weeks back. Hell's fucking yeah. Congratulations, by the way. Looking for a couple good entry points for Silv and Silver. Let's just go SLV, the ETF. Let's see, entry points for this. I mean, I assume you're probably long-term, man. To me, that means like a monthly or quarterly in this case. And I don't like buying it here, even though, you are in a blue sky breakout. So technically it's not the worst time, but I would be anticipating a pullback at some point in this quarter. And I think that pullback could come all the way down, maybe slightly below $60, anywhere between like 55 to 60. And I'd say that would be an okay zone if you just want to ride the breakout. Probably easier to watch the actual silver chart. Yeah. So it did close on new all-time highs, which is a very, very good sign. I think that you probably at least pull back to 65. Personally, I'd be a lot more interested a little bit below $60. And that's probably what I'm going to be doing for myself as well. But anywhere between, mid 50s to upper 60s, I think is okay. This thing is very obviously broken out, and it very likely will go higher this year, like new all-time highs this year. But does it pull back first? I hope it does, to give an opportunity, because I don't have any positions in any metals, and I probably should. I'm probably also a little bit too late to the game anyways, so I don't know. I'm just not really focusing on it that much. But yeah, man. What's up, Monkey G? How you doing, man? Oh my God. I'm sorry to hear that, dude. That is fucking crazy. Wow. Man, that sucks. I'm sorry to hear that, man. Fit in Crypto says, I'm curious on why all the hate for Kronos. I've been in this ecosystem for 4 years. I've only made money with CroChain. Is everyone blind or what? No disrespect, just been printing passive cash for years. Okay. I'll play the game with you, sir. Yes, you're getting This is the same shit that the Hex people do. They're like, I'm making passive income by holding and staking my Hex coins. Never mind my Hex coins, which is what I'm getting rewarded in, is literally losing fucking astronomical amounts of value every goddamn day, every goddamn year. But that's okay. I'm getting passive incomes. Yeah, congrats. Why the hate? It's just a garbage chart, man. It's a garbage chart. That's why. You can be getting all the rewards you want in this thing, but you're losing money by holding this thing, which I believe you have to hold in order to get those rewards. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. I very well might be wrong on that, in which case, hey, more power to you. But this is a terrible chart. You are depreciating your equity that is holding this thing in order to get those ship rewards that are losing value as well. It's bad. It's bad. Jameson Alexander says, what in tarnation was that? Just joined. Lamo. What's up, Vanya? Love from Luxembourg. Hell yeah. RKLB, stonk entries. I mean, look, I can't give you like actual entries, man, because that is financial advice and I'm not a financial advisor and blah, 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 blah. I also don't really know what you're trying to do. Don't know if you're trying to hold long term. Don't know what that means to you. Don't know what time frames you're looking at. But if I was playing this thing myself, I think that the breakout is real. I think that this thing makes new highs probably this month at latest in February. If it did pull back to like 62, 63, I'd like that preferably as an entry, but I don't even think it's going to do that. I think this thing is going to go up from here. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong, and it comes down and gives you an opportunity at like low 60s. That's fair game, you know, like a 10% correction from here. 10 to 15% correction would be good, but I'm not so confident you're even going to get that. This is pretty strong, man. This thing looks to me like it wants to follow through with more upside like now. More upside now. Confirmed if you close this week above 74 US dollars, which it is hanging around right now, but I don't know, another 3.5 hours left to go. If it doesn't, maybe get a pullback, like I said, down to low 60s. If that happens, great. You know, I think that's the next big opportunity, but this thing wants to go higher, man. It's good. It's good. It is good. Crown, what is the first resistance for Bitcoin? Well, if I go to a 5-minute time frame, don't you think the first resistance is going to be a lot more different than perhaps a monthly time frame or a weekly time frame or a daily time frame? Got to have a time frame, my man. Otherwise, cannot give an accurate answer. Kronos is totally manipulated by the exchanges. That's right, because it's a stealth privacy coin, okay? They don't even know it exists, bro. That's what you don't know. They have real privacy features. So private, it's going to be going down into the ground, hiding itself for forever, and also losing all of its value. Amazing. Fucking amazing. Did you do silver yet? Yeah, we literally just looked at it. I think silver makes new highs this year. What? Else for the super chat, I meant for the next 5 to 10 years, I'm looking to hold to the 2 ETFs. Honestly, I think DCA in here is a good defensive move, actually, just because, well, I do think it might correct a little bit lower first. Overall, it's bullish, and overall, it wants to make new highs. And, you know, in these cases, if you just want to accumulate for like 5 to 10 years, then it's more risky just not owning it, right? But do I think that it's going to correct lower? Yeah, I would prefer to get it with a 5 handle, you know, around 55, maybe $60. If I could get around there, I'd be very happy. Does it pull back there first and then try higher? I don't know. I really don't know. I think this very well could be it. If it is going to pull back, it should happen early in January, like from now should pull back. But that's not really helpful. I mean, I'm just telling you like my wish list, like if I'm asking Santa, my wish list is it comes down to like $60, get to buy there. Okay, great. You know, send it back up, but I'm not so confident it does pull back. But if it is going to pull back, I would expect it to happen from here. Like that should be the high and pull back. And when I look at the daily, I think that it actually will pull back a little bit. Will I get $60 or a little bit above there? Hopefully, yes. We'll see. I'm going to set an alert here, and not necessarily because I want to buy at this exact price, but I want to see if the reversal is happening in the short term. Because if it is, then very likely I will get that position later on. You can see my prior alert right here at $42. Got too greedy, man. Got too greedy. It got relatively close there to 45. Got too fucking greedy, man. So yeah, whenever that happens to me, I just capitulate and don't even go in position. I don't like chasing these things for long-term investments. So it is what it is. Anyways, Chris Fellis is B cash breaking out. Has it made a move now? Let's see. It is trying to some upside here. Yeah. I mean, look, man, if you show me any other chart, any other name that looked like this, I'd be bullish without question. I mean, it really does look like it wants to break out. I will say that, but I don't know, man. I can't go against my personal history with this thing, which is just fail at every attempt, really. But yeah, has a new puppy been on stream yet? Yeah, she was at the very beginning. Can you take a look at Rose? I think it has a chance to dethrone Bitcoin due to its privacy features. I've heard this as well, actually. Yes, it's very private, very, very private indeed. And we know that privacy coins are good because private equals good. Private equals good. Good equals up. Rose equals up then. Amazing analysis. Have you checked the Fed repo facility? You can have a ticker for that? That's pretty cool. And happy 2026 to you as well, sir. RRPONTSYD. I always love okay, I didn't do that right. RRPON. Okay, there we go. TSYD. Okay, so this one. I always love when people say 2026 is going to be my year. This is the year that we really get it, man. We're going to be successful as fuck this year. It's like, what are you doing? I don't know, writing fucking inspirational memes on Twitter. Great job, bro. I'm manifesting. Let's manifest. Look, I can look at this chart. I don't have an analysis on this chart though. You know, it's not meant to really play technically. And, well, I mean, you're back around the 2020 lows. So I guess the idea here is that the reverse repo account is fully loaded again. And so if the Fed does want to do any sort of market interventions, they can. I don't really have an analysis on this, but it is interesting to look at, I suppose. You know, you are back in that sort of position that you were from 2018 to 2020. But then again, I mean, you know, this chart going up is like a response to a bad thing happening. So I don't necessarily know that you want it to go up. It's going to create other issues, or it's going to imply that other issues are going on, right? Colossal Troll says, Crown, just for humor, do you think the queen of crypto, OneCoin, the Bulgarian chick, will ever be found? I don't even know who that is, man. The queen of crypto, I thought was that like rapper girl from New York who had a Russian boyfriend and would like do some very interesting raps, but apparently she was stealing a shit ton of Bitcoins too. I don't know, something like that, man. Crazy shit. No, we have not looked at Tesla. Let's look at Tesla for Sequoia on NAS here. And yeah, going to be opening up this year with a bit of a pullback. Let's see, where is the pullback target? So why did my moving averages go away? Yeah, it probably pulls back at least to like 420. Great number right there. Beautiful number. Still a higher low as well. But yeah, should pull back in the short term. So opening up the year with a bit of a pullback. I would get a little bit on edge about this thing if it does start to close higher term timeframes below 420. Because that was the low of last month. And at that point, you know, we might be in for a much bigger pullback down to like sub 400. Let's call it 370. But until then, I'm still bullish on this chart long term. Here's the yearly. I'm not going off a whole hell of a lot, but maybe the 6 month has more to show. Yeah. You know, I'm bullish on a chart that looks like this. The question to me is, does it pull back to 420 or does it pull back all the way to like 375, 380 and then go up? Either one I'm fine with. I'm going to be holding either way. I am long and I do own this thing for full disclosure from much lower. So understand that like it's might be a different situation, but short term should pull back, but I would be expecting higher lows. So that's kind of, the main analysis right there. Chainlink. Yeah, we can look at Chainlink. It's been a long time since we've looked at this highly esteemed crypto technology, and it is doing what most things are doing right now, which is bouncing in the short term. I do think this one will bounce close to $15, maybe a little bit above $15. I don't know, somewhere around there is fair game. I think at most you'll get like a $17 bounce. But you got the same setup here as you have on basically everything else, right? You came down to the 200 simple and the blue 3770 EMA. It's a low volatility swing here with weekly momentum turning back up freshly. This is a good chance for a bounce in my opinion. If it's going to have downside, it's going to happen later, not in the short term. Short term wants to bounce. It's conducive towards a nice bounce here. I think at least you get to 14.5. I think it could go for a little bit more towards 16, 17, but anywhere around there is where I'd be looking for on the next lower high. Monthly momentum is fresh down, by the way, getting very comfortable in the bearish control zone here too, as long as this thing closing below $20. So it needs to, nearly what, like, I don't know, have like a 70% gain from here in order to reclaim that number. I just don't think that that's happening right now. No, that story was too new. The OneCoin was more or less the same time as, oh, okay. The big connect. Yeah. Unfortunately, I'm not familiar with that story itself on the Bulgarian girl. All right, what else we got? Tesla a buy under 400. I think it is correcting in the short term. It depends what you're trying to do with it. I would like the risk reward setup a lot better, closer to like 375, 380. Doesn't mean it's going to get there though. I think it could put in a higher low at 420. Great White Hype says, Happy New Year. What's up, man? Happy New Year to you as well. A-Lab on the weekly. Okay. I'm guessing this is a stonk. Astera Labs. Yeah, good. Higher low right here. I think this one trades back up towards the range highs at $200. It might not be ready to actually break out of the range highs, but as long as it's playing this range between 200 on the upper side and about 140 on the lower side, I'd have a bullish bias. So, might look like this, probably looks like this, but either way, I think that this thing is setting up, for more of a long-term run. I do actually really think that there is a possibility for it to do this right here, because you're getting a fresh twist the upside on weekly stochastic momentum. It shows upside pressure as long as you're above 147, and volatility is relatively low here. So I think you'll at least test the top side of the range, and there is a real potential to break out on the next test. Monthly, got a nice higher low in here, after making new all-time highs. That's a good sign. I think this thing does want to go higher more long term. I'd only get bearish on it if you come back down and violate December lows. Sequoia says, every time I try and play Link, I get burned. Same thing with AVAX. Are we giving birth to an alt season, or is this just a singular green day followed by dumpage? I think it's going to be more than a day. I just think it's a bounce into a lower high. That's all, man. Look, like most shitcoins are down only, right? So in my opinion, the better thing to be looking for is for a long-term short, if anything, because you're going to get bailed out in that direction, generally speaking. And while it is, like most of these things are likely to try upside moves, I think that these upside moves can last, it might even last like a month or two. It's very possible. But when these things start to show signs of topping, that's where I'd be very interested in many of them, assuming they get to a lot of our targets and, potentially taking a short that can be ridden for a long time. Let's see. Hey, Crown, Cardano on the bounce, going to get to 50, half a buck. Let's see. I don't know. I haven't looked at this one in a long time. What price is it even trading now? Oh, wow. Jesus. Do I think get to 50? Maybe close. I think 45 cents would be a pretty good bet. 50 cents is basically the 200 simple here. So it is possible. Yeah. I think 50 cents is possible. 55 may be pushing it a little bit too much, but I think actually 50 cents is somewhat reasonable there. Come back to it after that. Yeah. I don't think that that's too crazy of a move actually. So let's see from where you're at right now to that. That's a 30% move. And then I think you got a great short on the other side, if and when it does get there. So yeah. I'd agree. Let's see. G Unit says Fly stocks starting to look good after IPO correction. Got to watch the lawsuit though. What is Fly? Oh, Firefly Aerospace. Okay. Yeah. No. Good luck with that, man. No. This is going to be a lower high right here. I see these things all the time. I would say it's a very high probability of last week being a lower high and this thing works its way back down. I'd be happy to be wrong. There is limited information here, but yeah. I don't see any signs of like real bottoming behavior here just yet. This to me is just a rally up into a trending lower high until proven otherwise. Yeah. You got a pretty you got a pretty obvious reversal point, but it's significantly higher. It's like 50% higher than where we're at right now. So yeah, space is a fantasy. Is it? I don't know. Haven't some people been there? I guess I believe you. Anyways, I think that's probably it for today. Yeah. Nice, short and sweet live stream. It's been an absolute pleasure speaking with you on this first new live stream of the first new year. Does Rosie want to make one more appearance? Hold on. No? Elsa?
What?
Does Rosie want to make one more appearance?
Oh, you need to get there.
Okay. All right. We're gonna take it out with Rosie right now. One moment. I'm gonna go grab her. Okay. All right, Rosie. It's been a pleasure speaking with you on this nice Friday morning, our first new live stream of the new year. Rosie says, we love you. Oh, she's pushing away the mic. We'll be back on Monday with another live stream. I'll do a traditional market update on Sunday as always. And if I do have time tomorrow on Saturday, I will be, well, no, I'm going to be working on some long-term investment content. It's not going to be ready on Saturday, I don't think. No, I need more time for that one. I want to make sure it's done properly, done well. But yeah, been a pleasure as always. Wishing everyone the best of the best for the new year, and we'll see you